So we're going ahead and call the meeting to order on time. So we first have a reading out of actions taken in closed session by Trustee Wright.
On a 6-0 vote with Trustee Witt absent, the Board approved a general leave to a full-time classified employee on an 8-hour per week basis to perform the duties of a part-time counselor through the end of the fall 2015 semester. The employee will continue her role as a classified employee 32 hours per week during this time.
And that's all?
That's all.
All right. Next we have Invocation led by Trustee Lang, and then if you can remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Trustee Milchiker.
This is the time of the year for many of us is one of great self-reflection and search for atonement. In that vein, we ask for forgiveness for those times we have selfishly put our own interests and ego above that of the common good. We especially want to give thanks to those in public service, to all of our men and women in all branches of the military for their duty to country and our wishes to keep them safe from harm's way as they strive to do the same on our behalf. We thank all those in public service, fire and police departments, and all others that enrich our lives by their good work on a daily basis. We ask for blessings in these proceedings that we will make the best decisions to optimize the opportunities for those that we serve. Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our great nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have a number of well-deserved recognitions. We'll go ahead and start with Irvine Valley College men's tennis team. And we have resolutions that will be read out by Trustee Wright for each one, and then presented by the appropriate heads of the college's programs.
Tonight we have 6 resolutions to present. In the interest of time, we are going to read a short summary of each resolution. The first resolution is for our IVC men's tennis team. 2015 CCCAA state champions. Whereas the Irvine Valley men's tennis team, which included players Valentin, Baize, Octave Baize, Luis Castillo, Austin Doe, Bruno Figlia, Stan Cavorti, Seaman Gion, Scott Paz, Flavian Raval, Max Rumeau, Tony Sealam, Robert Sealman, Guillermo Yosley Lay, and Carson Williams, and Coach Ross Duncan and Amber Van won the California Community College Athletic Association state champion last April at the Pierpoint Club in Ventura, California. And whereas the Irvine men's team captured its first event ever state title, won its second straight Orange Empire conference title, and ended the 2015 season with a record of 18-1. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend and congratulate the Irvine men's tennis team as state champion. We will now proceed with a roll call.
Trustee J. Trustee J. Aye. Trustee Jemal.
Aye.
Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast.
Aye.
Trustee Wright.
Aye.
Student Trustee Mamond.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right.
All on.
Very good. Thank you again.
As the coach of the team, I'd just like to thank you for all of your support. We had a great year. It's an absolute honor to represent Irvine Valley College, and our goal is to keep it going. I'd just like to introduce the team really quickly. Our emotional leader first. We have Austin Doe. Next up, we have all the way from Spain, Robert Sieleman. Step forward, Robert. Next up, we have he won not only the team championship, but also came up as the state champion in the doubles competition, Maxime Rumeau. Our most improved player, all the way from Brazil, an amazing player, Bruno Figlia. Our team captain for this year, hoping to guide us again to another successful year, we have Scott Paz. Next up, we have Octave Bellet. And our team captain this year, we have Flavien Revaud. A great addition to our team. Very lucky to have a very experienced coach, Zoran Korak. Thank you very much.
All right. Next up.
Resolution 2, Valentin Baize and Max Rumeau, Irvine Valley College 2015 CCCAA Men's Tennis Double Champion. Whereas Valentin Baize and Max Rumeau, sophomores at Irvine Valley College, won the California Community College Athletic Association Men's Tennis Doubles State Championship at the OJ Tournament in April in OJ, California, and whereas Valentin Baize and Max Rumeau captured the first ever tennis individual state title for Irvine Valley College by defeating IVC teammates Guillermo Usile and Simeon Gulin 6-4, 6-1 in the finals. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend and congratulate Valentin Baize and Max Rumeau for their outstanding effort as the California Community College Athletic Association Men's Tennis Doubles State Champions for 2015 and wish them well in their future educational and tennis endeavor. We will now proceed with a roll call.
Trustee Jay?
Aye.
Trustee Jemal?
Aye.
Trustee Lang?
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker?
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast?
Aye.
Trustee Wright?
Aye.
Student Trustee Momond?
Aye.
All right. Congratulations.
Yes, so I would like first to thank you and also for Valentin Baize, who is not here today. But I want to thank you like all here, and thanks also for the team that support us during all the year last year, and even like 2 years ago when I was here. So thanks very much for everything.
Next up.
Irvine Valley Women's Sand Volleyball Team. Whereas the Irvine Valley Women's Sand Volleyball Team, which included players Emily Reinking, Samantha Holdredge, Hannah Matt, Hailee Earnest, Kayla Cheville, JoJo Cannon, Ceylin Perez, Annie Mitchem, Kobi Pekich, Sarah Allen Bainez, McCuna Wall, Taylor Askins, Rachel Woods, Samantha Goodman, Marisa Doran, Carly Peterson, and Hailee Jones, and coaches Tom Pestalacci, Butch May, and Mike Cram won the California Community College Athletic Association State Championship in May at Irvine Valley College in Irvine, California. And whereas the Irvine Valley women's sand volleyball team went undefeated in 2015 against all other community college programs, including beating Fullerton and Miracosta in the regional finals, and then Golden West, Grossmont, and Cabrillo at the state championships. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend and congratulate the Irvine Valley women's sand volleyball team as state champion. We will now proceed with a roll call.
Trustee Jay.
Aye.
Trustee Jemal.
Aye.
Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast. Trustee Wright.
Aye.
Student Trustee Momond.
Aye.
Thank you, board and everybody else. First off, I'd like to thank our amazing athletic director, Dr. Keith Shackelford. He has really done a phenomenal job in our department, bringing everybody together for the last 10 years. And what's neat is we get a lot of some pretty cool things accomplished while we're having a really, really good time. And so we're fortunate enough we can kind of pass those lessons on to our kids who are amazing kids. The reason we only have 3 here is we have 7 of the players from last year are on to the next level playing. And that's our goal, is to move them on. And so that's makes us feel good, is we're doing this for the right reasons. Is it nice to do well? Absolutely. But it's about moving these kids on. And between Emily and Hannah and Taylor, we have an award to give to our president, because they're not just really good players. They got we earned a National Academic Team Award. You have to have a team GPA of 3.3 or higher, and the AVCA is the American Volleyball Coaches Association. And we had a team GPA, and it's for the whole year, of a 3.4. And so we want to present this, and you can put it up in your office. And if your wife says, "Who are all those girls in the little outfits?" tell them it's an academic award. So this our academic award to Dr. Glenn Rockmore. Come on, girls. You get over here. We actually like these kids. They're nice. So we have a lot of fun. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. And I guess at least a couple of you need to stay there for the next ones, because it's the pairs. Is anybody here from that besides Hailee?
Emily, what we have is Emily won. I know
Emily
you're going to go through all the stuff.
Yeah.
Jim, and I don't want to rain on your parade. But Emily and Annie won.
Go ahead and move the mic.
I'm sorry. I thought I had a big enough voice. Emily and Annie won number 2 pairs in the state championship. Marisa Doran, who's at New Mexico, has a full ride there. And Kobi Pekich, who's at Long Beach State, they won the number 1 doubles. And then our number 3 doubles of Hailee Earnest, who is actually writing 2 papers tonight. And then Samantha Holdredge, who is competing in a Division III school back on the East Coast. They won the number 3 doubles. So we didn't just sweep the team. They also swept the 3 levels of individuals. One last thing I'll say is the coaching staff of Butch May and Mike Cram are phenomenal. And so my job is to not get in the way. And those guys are they make it fun. We have such a good time. But again, we just hope that our kids learn that you can enjoy the process, and that's what we try to stress to them. And the coaches and our administration, they do such a good job of allowing us to do the process the right way, and then the results just follow. So, boss, anything else? Are we good? Okay, we're good.
So we do have to officially read the next 3 resolutions. Thank you for helping Jim out.
Thank you.
And then we do number 5 is Annie and Emily. So
this is
great.
Number 4.
So we'll do number 4 and
number
do
5 and number 6. Okay. This is Marisa Doran and Kobi Pekich. Whereas Marisa, Doran, and Kobi, Pekich, sophomores at Irvine Valley College, won the California Community College Athletic Association's #1 pairs state championship in sand volleyball at Irvine Valley College in May. And whereas Marisa, Doran, and Kobi, Pekich defeated Grossmont 21-18, 18-21, 15-12 to win the state title, finished with a record of 3-0, and lost just one set at the CCCAA Sand Volleyball State Championship. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend and congratulate Marisa, Doran, and Kobi Pekich for their outstanding efforts as the California Community College Athletic Association's #1 pairs champion in sand volleyball for 2015 and wish them well in their future educational and volleyball endeavors. We will now proceed with a roll call.
Trustee Jay.
Aye.
Trustee Jemal.
Aye.
Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast.
Aye.
Trustee Wright.
Aye.
Student Trustee Mamond.
Aye.
All right.
This is for Annie. This is number 5 for Annie Mitchem and Emily Reinking. Whereas sophomores Emily Mitchem and freshman Emily Reinking won the California Community College Athletic Association #2 pairs state championship in sand volleyball at Irvine Valley College in May, and whereas Annie Mitchem and Emily Reinking defeated Grossmont 21-12, 21-7, finished with a record of 3-0, and didn't lose a set at the CCCAA Sand Volleyball State Championship. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend and congratulate Annie Mitchem and Emily Reinking for their outstanding efforts as the California Community College Association's #2 pairs champion in sand volleyball for 2015 and wish them well in their future educational and volleyball endeavors. We will now proceed with a roll call.
Trustee Jay.
Aye.
Trustee Jemal.
Aye.
Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast.
Aye.
Trustee Wright.
Aye.
Student Trustee Mamond.
Aye.
All right. Last one.
Okay, last one, number 6, Samantha Holdredge and Hailee Earnest. Whereas sophomore Samantha Holdredge and freshman Hailee Earnest won the California Community College Athletic Association's #3 pairs state championship in sand volleyball at Irvine Valley College in May, and whereas Samantha Holdredge and Hailee Earnest defeated Grossmont 21-15, 21-15, finished with a record of 3-0, and didn't lose a set at the CCCAA Sand Volleyball State Championship. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District do hereby commend and congratulate Samantha Holdredge and Hailee Earnest for their outstanding efforts as the California Community College Athletic Association's #3 champion in sand volleyball for 2015 and wish them well in their future educational and volleyball endeavors. We will now proceed with a roll call.
Trustee Jay.
Aye.
Trustee Jemal.
Aye.
Trustee Lang.
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker.
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast.
Aye.
Trustee Wright.
Aye.
Student Trustee Mamond.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to public comments. I don't have any slips up here, none turned in. So then we'll go ahead and go to board reports. Start with Trustee Milchiker.
Okay, I attended a number of things, a number of events since the last board meeting. I'm going to start with one of the highlights. That was the dedication of the Emigdio Vasquez mural at Irvine Valley College just a few days ago. And so if you take a field trip to the Irvine Valley College Library, make sure that you look up in the middle. It's in the center of the library. There's a curved place where the mural was actually placed. And I understand that it was under a lot of the direction of the president of Irvine Valley College, Glenn Rockmore, and many of the people at Irvine Valley College. This mural was on the wall in one of the classroom buildings, and for many, many years. And there was a friend of Emigdio Vasquez that was actually an ethnic study teacher that promoted Emigdio's murals, and it turned out that this mural was on the building so many years that it had become defaced. So under the direction of some retired luminaries from Irvine Valley College, Professor Linda Thomas and Professor Frank Marmolejo, this mural was restored with the assistance of Emigdio's son. His name is, let's see now, Hailee. And many of the people here were there at the dedication. Kurt Meyer, Kathy Schmeidler, Brenda Borum, Louis Long, all these people from IVC were very supportive of this restoration of this mural. There's also a beautiful plaque on the first floor, and if you really want to get a beautiful view of the mural, go up on the staircase, and you'll be able to see it almost eye distance. Understanding that the person that was building the framework for this particular mural had a curved platform in his house and in front of his house, and the problem was that many of the neighbors wanted to use it for skateboarding, so he had to scare them away. But that was all done, and it was put up, and now it's there permanently. So as a memorial to this mural is up permanently. I also went to see California State Treasurer John Chang was invited by the IVC Professor of Accounting Bennett Tchaikovsky at Irvine Valley College, talking about the state budget. It was very interesting. He actually sent me a link to some of the unclaimed properties that I actually have myself, and I haven't had time to look them up, but hopefully this month I'll be able to do that. On the ATEP campus, I went to the STEM open house and barbecue, which was just really fascinating. Lots and lots of junior high kids that were there learning about how to make motors out of water, just separating the oxygen and hydrogen. I also attended the Saddleback College State of the College breakfast given by Todd Burnett. That was very interesting. Joe Snyder did a gala raising money for vets and having vets bringing art to vets and giving them money to keep going and to help them. And Mark Sierakowski at Saddleback College, the IT person, I attended his retirement party at Saddleback College, and among some of the other things that were really fun to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Wright.
I also attended a number of events at both colleges. First of all, I attended the football game that Saddleback College had versus Cerritos College. It was their first football game on Saturday, September the 5th. That night they didn't win, but they have won the last two games. Their record now is 2-2. On Thursday, September the 10th, I attended the IVC 9/11 commemoration at the Live Oaks Terrace. That was a wonderful event, a wonderful speaker, just well done. I also attended the celebration of Mark Sierakowski's retirement. He had worked at the college for 28 years, and if you had a problem with computers or anything, you always called Mark. Mark was wonderful, and he will be missed. I wanted to mention that on Thursday, September the 17th, David Begay invited me to do kind of a walk-around of Saddleback College. And that was a wonderful event. I hadn't done that. I hadn't been in some of the buildings for a little while, and it was wonderful to just walk around the campus and to see what was going on. David and I got some wonderful stares as we walked around. They were wondering what we were doing, but it was a wonderful event. I wanted to mention that the California Community, I wanted to applaud IVC for a minute, that the California Community College Board of Governors honored them as a winner, an honorable mention for their lights and things that they were doing to save energy. The Saddleback College basketball coach was named the 2014-2015 Orange Empire Conference Male Sport Coach of the Year, which I thought was a great honor for Saddleback. Finally, I did receive emails from both IVC and Saddleback College presidents announcing the U.S. Department of Energy Solar Decathlon that's happening. And so we're going to hear more about that for 2015. Thank you.
Trustee Jemal.
So I only attended a couple of events over the past month. One is the Black Chamber of Commerce Gala that I attended with several people in the room here. Appreciate being offered the opportunity to attend that and support the Black Chamber. And then I did attend and get to speak at a little bit the State of the College Breakfast at Saddleback College. I think it was last week. Well done. I think there were over 100 attendees from city government, state legislative offices, and our foundation board of directors as well as some staff and faculty. So well done. Nice event. And lastly, I'm sorry to have missed the last meeting. It was only, I think, the second meeting that board meeting I did miss, but I was away in Philadelphia doing what most parents dread and dropping their child off at college. I know this is something most people in this room understand. At times, wish she had chosen Saddleback or someplace close to here, but she will be playing tennis at Swarthmore College, so I was appreciative of what the tennis team was able to do. It's a remarkable accomplishment, especially here in the state of California. Well done, the tennis team and volleyball team, and extraordinary accomplishment. Thank you.
All right. So while I have not attended a number of events because they keep happening during that pesky teaching job I have, I did get some information that I think is worth sharing. Trustee Wright did mention the green report that came out from the state, and both I was able to share that at the ACCOC meeting that I was attending. We were talking about green energy and reusable and so forth. So to see of the top 10 list, 7 or 8 of the colleges were in Orange County. So it was really nice to see that. I also, my stepbrother works at Citrus College and was bragging on Facebook about how Citrus College was the 9th college on the list for college completion, and I had to chime in that IVC was number 1. So nice job. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report. Trustee J.
I want to thank you for recognizing the tragedy of 9/11 by the commemorations at both colleges. Both colleges, the commemoration was really successful. I personally want to thank you again for my daughter's best friend and bridesmaid, Heather Lee Smith, a graduate of Dana Hills High School, class of 1989, was on United Flight 11 and was a victim of 9/11. I attended the annual State of the College breakfast hosted by Todd Burnett Thursday, September 24th, and what excellent job that you did. It was an excellent breakfast. I was on the campus to get my free flu shot, and I came across the Veterans Fair on campus. I was extremely impressed with the level of the Veterans Agency was in participating in helping outreach for our veterans and to serve their needs. There's another event coming up, a Veterans Resource Fair at Capel Valley High School on October the 3rd, Saturday, from 11 to 2. This was mentioned at your breakfast, Todd's breakfast, by our Assemblyman Bill Braw. I am so happy to see the support the veterans are getting from our colleges, legislators, and our local community members. Look for this in the mail that tells everything that's going to be happening. I happened to get it the day after the breakfast, and I'm in the mail. So it's just wonderful what the community is now doing for the veterans.
Thank you. Trustee Lang.
Thank you. Like Trustee Wright, I was also pleased to attend the Irvine Valley College September 11th ceremony on September 10th, as it turns out. And similar to the sentiments expressed by Trustee Jay, I also appreciate the ongoing commitment that both of our colleges have made to the memories of those who perished over 14 years ago, to make their lives come alive and be meaningful. Both the ceremony and the music at the IVC event were excellent, and I applaud Dr. Rockmore and all of your staff and all of the participants on a job very well done. Subsequent to our last meeting, I had the honor and was pleased to represent the district on Channel 6 to discuss the highlights from our August board meeting and discuss also some of the current activities that might be of interest to folks in the Laguna Woods community and our constituents there. I also had the opportunity to host several individuals, including President Rockmore, for a leadership presentation by former coaches Jim Moore and Skip Hall at the Center Club in Costa Mesa. And I think everybody found that to be interesting. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Student Trustee Maman.
Unfortunately, because of a very tight schedule, a lot of work and schoolwork, I wasn't able to attend very many events. However, the one event I was able to attend was a cultural presentation put on by the Arabic department, and I thought it was very well done. They had food. It was very well put together. However, I don't see these type of events enough on our calendar, and the events put on by the various departments of the school are really good, and I encourage you guys all to attend those as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chancellor's report.
I'd like to point out to the board that there's 2 items on tonight's agenda that were requested in the past by the board. The first is the discussion item. It's agenda item 4.0. And it's a presentation on our legislative and grant advocacy work in Sacramento and in D.C. And so I think you'll find that interesting, and you have an opportunity to talk to the advocates we have here. The second item is 7.2, and it's regarding a topic that came up in the listening sessions this past spring, and it's about there were questions they came up about whether or not the administrative staffing levels at the colleges in the district were appropriate compared to other districts. And so there's plenty of information in that agenda item to help answer that question.
All right. Thank you very much. College presidents. We'll start with President Rockmore.
Okay, thank you very much. First, I'd like to thank all of you for recognizing our tennis team and our volleyball players tonight. You could see the smiles on their face. Also, thanks to the trustees that attended our 9/11 event. Thank you for enduring the heat that no one could have anticipated, but it was certainly the hottest day in Southern California that I recall. And nonetheless, we made it through, and it was an honorable event. On the mural, one part that Trustee Milchiker didn't mention is that mural was originally painted in place in our cafeteria in the early 90s. And so I got a chance to watch the artist paint that way back then. It then got moved after a rehab of the cafeteria, and then was subject to the vandalism that did occur. So it is remarkable that it was able to be refurbished. It looks beautiful, and it has found a home, I think, where it'll be protected for a very long time. Finally, Solar Decathlon. This is such an exciting joint project that both Todd and I have enjoyed watching, and now we're going to get to relish in the successes that are about to happen here. But the house went from looking absolutely beautiful to a tornado look as they took it apart into 4 pieces. And I think by the end of tonight, all 4 pieces will be at the Great Park ready to be reassembled. Excuse me. So with that, there's going to be a series of celebrations that are going to occur. The first one, and Todd and I are going to put together some invitations for everybody so you'll know exactly what will be happening. But the first one is on Wednesday, October 7th, from 4 to 6:30, and this is an event that's organized by UCI. Of course, they're the prime university that's involved with this. And then there'll be several days that the public can come out and view all of the houses. We're down to 14 now from 20. And to see it built, you'll really understand why. It's a major, major endeavor for students to do this. And many of those were coming from faraway places like the Philippines. And so where we had to move the house about 2.5 miles, they had an ocean to cross to get the house across. Germany as well, and they're still in the competition. So it's an amazing thing to see. There's some technologies there in our house that no one else has. There's a device that there are 3 in the country, and we have 1. And so we think that that's going to gain the points we need to take home the gold. So certainly hope so. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good
President
evening.
Burnett.
First, I wanted to thank the trustees and guests who were able to make the annual State of the College breakfast. Those that did attend, but those did not, we spent a lot of time talking about implementation of our economic and workforce development plan. As you know, that's a top priority for our district as well as our college. Several events are coming up. It is that time of the year, and President Rockmer already mentioned the Solar Decathlon. In addition to the event and reception on the 7th, we are also, on the 6th, no, on the 7th, on the 8th in the morning, we'll invite you to the opening ceremony, the official U.S. Department of Energy opening ceremony. So we'd like to get you another invitation. And then, of course, just for the audience, the whole Solar Decathlon viewing of all the entries runs from October 8th through the 18th. So I highly encourage everyone to go out and see it. It really is special. Other events coming up. Our annual K-12 Partnership Breakfast comes up on Friday, October 9th at 7:30 in SSC 212. Homecoming, folks, October 17th. And yes, as Trustee Wright said, we're actually on a winning streak now, I guess. We started out pretty slow, but now they're coming on strong and had some really good games, so we hope that continues. And then finally, on a very sad note, and thank you very much, the meeting will be closed in the memory of Shayan Mosroe, who unfortunately was tragically killed, one of our Saddleback students in Laguna Gale a couple of weeks ago. I did want to let everybody know that it looks like on November 14th, we will be holding, our Saddleback College Foundation will be holding a fundraiser to raise scholarship funds in the memory of Shayan. And that'll be on November 14th, and we'll get you some information out for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. ASG, who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
All right. Saddleback. All right.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks again for having us here. Saddleback is focusing on international students in the meantime. We want to gather some information about different populations on campus, and we're starting with the international students, as those may be some students that may not be familiar with the system here in the United States, so we want to reach out to them as a first trial to implement our new communication system with different students. This year is an accreditation year, as you know, and so we're excited to participate on different accreditation committees throughout the school. The student government is excited to be a part of that. We're also excited to be a part of different committees, such as the Food and Beverage Committee and so forth. Student involvement, as I've stressed in the past, is very important for us. So we enacted special topic grants with the slight extra funding we had, which I presented to you during our budget, and we'll be looking for different departments of the school to propose ideas which we will fund using this very unique source of funding. We're also working on social media outreach as a student government to reach out to more students and get people involved, as well as creating a database, if you'd like to call it, or a database of volunteers that we can use to engage more of the student population for different events. Furthermore, we have the blood drive coming up on the 5th and 6th. Yes? Okay, Lucy. And the state of the college was great. We had a great time. Thank you, President Burnett. And let's see. Did I hit everything? I think I did. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. ASIVC.
Okay, thank you. Well, to begin with, the past month was a pretty busy month for me and my team. To begin with, we actually did ratify 41 people for senator and cabinet positions. We have 4 remaining positions, so we have most of our team fulfilled. I would like to give a warm thank you to President Rockmore. He actually did come down to one of our Senate meetings, which was very beneficial for everybody. We have ratified over 49 commissioners, and we are currently we plan to establish our internal committees, which involve activities, diversity, leadership development, budget and finance, and public relations. Their meetings will actually begin this week. And finally, we are making sure that ASIVC is involved in campus-wide committees, and we are doing those arrangements this week also. That should do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So at this time, we have no board requests for reports. So this is our natural break while our people get ready for the discussion items. So if this is when you want to quietly duck out, it's the opportunity to do so.
Else is not working.
You went to Daniels High School, didn't you? Okay.
It's working.
How long's the break? Okay, it's getting ready.
Good evening, members of the board and Chancellor Portner. Thank you for inviting us here tonight to share some of the good work that we're doing in terms of both legislative and advocacy work. It's exciting to be able to share it with you. I'm presenting tonight with Mark McDonald from McCallum Group. He's our state advocate, legislative advocate, and Dana DeBeaumont from Washington, D.C., and she's our federal advocate. It's been a real joy to work with both of these guys. They're just amazing. So let's get a little bit into what we do. One of the things that we do is we promote and advance the college and district, both the colleges and district. And we do this by setting annual priorities. We're going to actually have our planning meeting tomorrow with the presidents and vice chancellors. We then set a scope of work and kind of get going. We build relationships with our stakeholders, and those are both internal and external stakeholders. We have a high level of communication. You can't imagine how many communications it really takes to go back and forth and try to narrow down what we're working on. So that's a lot of fun. I get to work with a lot of people. And we conduct visits, both local as well as state and federal. We monitor legislation. Most of the legislation that we monitor is at the state level, several hundred bills per year. There's a really high volume at the state level. At the federal level, we also monitor legislation, but as you know, these things take a long time, especially in our current environment. And so there are fewer bills, and they have a longer process. So we don't get to act on those as often. And then we conduct advocacy, whether it be for legislation, grants, initiatives, or policy. Most of the advocacy that we do at the state level is for legislation and some grants. Most of the advocacy that we do at the federal level is mostly grants and some legislation. And this graphic kind of describes how we work together. One of the things that's really important is we sort of have a central point of contact for each of us. So I'm the central person for district-wide, and Mark is for state, and Dana is for federal. And this really allows us to centralize our efforts and become a lot more strategic. On my end, this interaction could include the president, grant staff, police chiefs, financial aid, you name it. I mean, it just depends on what we're going after. Our advocates attend a lot of committee hearings on our behalf, and they enter testimony for us. They also meet with legislative offices and get or give input on our behalf. We write a lot of letters of support or opposition, mostly support, and we make plenty of calls to our offices. We often have short time frames to gather the information, and I know that's something that we've talked about with you before. We also work really hard to align our positions with other districts so we can be a larger voice. We also work with business and education partners or associations to align our positions as they're going through the committees. All the positions are signed off by the Chancellor and Presidents. We don't go forward without that. And we involve the board on politically sensitive or controversial items. And now I'm going to turn it over to Mark for a little state overview.
Good evening, Chancellor, President, board members. Excuse me. It's good to be back. I was down here about 2 years ago, and we weren't here last year, but I think we'd like to make this an annual thing. We had a great year. One of those years, every once in a while, you just hit it out of the park, and this was one of those years for community colleges. There was a lot of funding available in the budget, and we had a lot of success legislatively as well. So let me talk a little bit about who we are. Terry did a great overview on how we work. We are your eyes, ears, and voice within the Capitol. We represent you. How do we do that? Well, let's just say California is the most regulated higher education system in the country, community colleges specifically. Every year there are thousands of bills introduced. We narrow those down to the most important bills that will impact this district. We hold a weekly conference call on which Terry participates, and on that conference call are other major districts that we represent. And just to be honest, the legislature is dominated by Democrats and primarily large urban Democrats, and we represent some of those districts. And on that conference call, Terry has the same voice as all those other districts. And so she's able to leverage the goals of this district with the positions of power that those other districts might have. This district is very coordinated, and your administration does a great job of getting information to us. Terry takes the point, like she said, on those conference calls, we'll bring up 5 issues or so. It could be a piece of legislation, might be a regulation or an administrative action that's going through. She's able to get that down to the person who's most pertinent and then get that information back to us so that we can use it to advocate on your behalf. Real quick on the process, there's basically 2 sessions that are moving at the same time. There's the budget session, which starts in January and ends when the budget is signed in June. Then there's the legislative session that starts in January and ends about now. This just demonstrates where each point is. Those arrows are our various leverage points as we move forward. And then there's the legislative process as well. So question, what do we do for you specifically? Well, the first and most important thing deals with basic aid, protecting your basic aid dollars. Second, as Terry mentioned, we get goals and direction from your administration on how we move forward on various issues. For example, the Student Success Suite. We had a number of great meetings up in Sacramento on the Student Success Suite. The district's now been contacted by the LAO, which is the Legislative Analyst Office, the nonpartisan analyst, to learn more about that, look at presenting it statewide. Excuse me. As Terry said, there's a small number of grants. This year there was a Career Pathways grant that the district was successful in their consortium, in your consortium. And then sometimes there's small tweaks that we need to do. For example, we got budget trailer bill language on nursing for this district. There were a lot of successes this year, which I mentioned, many of them in the budget. This next year coming up will probably be with Prop 30 expiring, depending upon whether that moves forward or not. one of the last years where there'll be a significant amount of money for community colleges. And I'm just going to go down a few of these, and at the end, if you have questions on specific ones that I don't cover, please feel free. So the big one was $100 million for the Student Success and Support Program. This is the new categorical that was created a couple years ago to focus on counseling and moving students through the process. There was $60 million focused on basic skills funding for students. One of the things, there's been a lot of research on basic skills students. The lower they are above college level coming in, the less likely they are to complete. So there was $60 million focused there. Budget language on veterans, which was something that came down to the last minute that allowed veterans from any state to get resident tuition in California. And then increased in the Cal grants. Legislative successes, let me just go through two here real quick. And if you have questions on the others, again, I'd be happy to answer them. The big one this year was AB 288, the dual enrollment. I can't tell you how many emails went back and forth between Terry and I and Glenn on getting this done and making sure it was crafted so that this district could take advantage of it. That's on the governor's desk right now. We're hoping that he'll sign it. The other one is AB 653. This seems like a small bill on procurement, but this is one of those bills where we were asked if there was anything that could be done on procurement to save money. So I sent it to Terry. Terry sent it down to staff. We got some ideas, and ultimately what we ended up with was it seems small, but it allows the district to piggyback on any contract that a UC or a CSU has, saving the district money. Next year's themes. And like I said, I think the two big themes next year, number one, are accreditation. I know Terry brought this to you. Recently, there was a task force that put out a paper recommending that California move to a new accreditor. That's going to be a huge issue next year. And then CTE and the workforce. There was another task force that put out 25 recommendations on CTE and the workforce. And there's a budget request from the Chancellor's office for $200 million to support that. Finally, I want to just go over briefly. There's a facilities bond measure that just qualified for the ballot November 2016. This is something I know that's been important to this district because you have a facility at each college that is awaiting a statewide bond to be funded. There's $2 billion for community college in it. It's a total of $9 billion. It's going to appear on the November 2016 ballot. They collected enough signatures and they've sent it in. So at this point, I'll turn it over to your federal advocate.
Why did the administration oppose it?
I have to move this down. Hi, I'm Dana de Beaumont, and I'm with Capital Advocacy Partners. And I haven't had the pleasure of being here before, so thank you for the opportunity. And I work much like the state arm works in coordination and in efforts. I communicate weekly with Terry, multiple times a week in a weekly conference call, and we go over priorities, what's needed, what we're focused on. And just like on the State House, I'm your ears and your eyes and your voice in D.C. I work on both legislation and grants, but in D.C., things are pretty darn slow and pretty political. And I think it just keeps getting worse. It's not improving. And so we really focus a lot on grants, hard dollars that are going to come back to the district. And we've had some really wonderful success of late. And so what we really do in grants, and we'll be having meetings tomorrow, is we focus on what are your needs. We identify programs that might be able to help fill them. I get my arms around the program, understand the requirements, the ins and outs, the key little intrinsic details to know what we've got to go at. I position the college or the colleges for funding. And we work with get congressional support, as well as work really closely with professional staff, full-time people in the departments. For legislation, we examine, track, recommend positions and draft letters. And let me see here. For grants, let me just touch base on a couple of successes. Last year, we worked closely with Saddleback College and Todd's team and achieved a really significant victory through the Department of Labor for health sciences, and that was $2.75 million. And that was really a coordinated effort that took over a year. We worked regionally, we worked locally, we worked nationally, and we really refined what we were looking for. And Saddleback and Terry really did an excellent job of listening and honing in on what the department was looking for. And that was really critical. And just recently, we were awarded $1.5 million for Irvine Valley College. And really that process really got going when President Rockmore visited D.C., and it was one of the programs we've targeted. It's called ANAPC, and it's really for minority-serving institutions with low-income students, which, quite frankly, we didn't qualify for. But we really learned that we could apply for a waiver, and that was a separate application. And so we applied for the waiver, and we got exactly what we needed, and we were granted the waiver. And just, I think it was last month, we were awarded one of 10 institutions in the country to be awarded this funding. And that funding, it's $1.5 million over 5 years. But what it also does, it allows us to apply as a special minority-serving institution for some other programs through like NASA. We get cost share waivers and things like that. We're also focused on legislation. Now, we worked on in-state tuition for veterans, and we've been focusing on year-round Pell. I feel like one of the things that's important is to really be candid on what's feasible, and I know we're hearing a lot of talk about free community college. Chances are that that's not happening anytime soon, but what it did was open a door for year-round Pell and to really make Pell more sustainable, and we've really been focused on that and using your voice and your resources very carefully. Looking ahead, clearly we have a presidential election, and it's a really interesting year on both sides. We're going to continue to hear about community colleges and free community college and different types of things. I think it's going to be an interesting time. We've got changes in Congress. Just Friday, the Speaker of the House of Representatives isn't going to run again. The chairman of the, and not only is he not going to run again, but he's stepping down at the end of October, and it looks like a Californian, Representative McCarthy, will be the new speaker. So that will be interesting. And there will be a new chairman of the Education and the Workforce Committee next year, and that could very well be Virginia Fox, who is currently chairman of the Higher Ed Subcommittee of the committee. And so that could be interesting too. We've got we're working on key issues which will continue. College affordability, and community colleges are a wonderful value compared to other institutions. College completion, higher ed reauthorization, accountability, innovation. And one example we did for innovation was for the technology suite towards completion. We held a big briefing on Capitol Hill where we filled a room of about over 60 people, where our team briefed them and really got a lot of a really positive response and really established us as a leader for innovation. Barb Martucci was part of it, and we were a pleasure to have Trustee Jemal there. We're focused on ATEP programs, health sciences, STEM, student veterans. And one thing with working with the federal government, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We need to know the people we want to work with. before we need to ask for something. And so we've been really strategic and careful in what we're going forward with. And your leadership and the leadership of your administration and Terry has really been key and, quite frankly, very strong. And so thank you for that and for the opportunity to serve.
Okay, and then let's wrap this up by talking about some outcomes. You've heard a little bit about the positions we've taken in legislation in these areas, a wide variety of areas, but these are some of the main ones. We have built some really solid relationships, not only with our legislators, but with committees. We're going to hear a little bit more about that in a second. With agencies, the agencies are vital. I can't even tell you, the agency visits are probably the most valuable visits for us. We got a lot of good, I'll call it intel, a lot of good tips, and they listen and they're honest, and it really helps us target what our goals are. And you've heard a little bit about the grants advocacy that we've done to support the colleges. The first three bullets, the career pathways and the Department of Labor and Department of Ed, have been covered by Mark and Dana. And I wanted to just end with explaining a little bit about what the return on investment is. And I want to talk about this Vet Success on Campus. We applied for a grant through the Veterans Administration. They funded a full-time employee to be on our campuses. We applied for this. Only 82 colleges in the country have this. We were successful. Thanks in part to our veterans offices who have such a stellar reputation. And I contacted, we just found out that we were renewed for 3 more years of this grant. After 2 years, we've been renewed for another 3, so that's excellent. They contacted us, wanted us to continue. And so I contacted the veterans offices to find out exactly what they did with the 2 years and kind of where we were and what the return on investment was. And they've been able to serve 80 additional veterans, and they estimate that it's brought about $2 million into the economy in helping these veterans get their assistance, housing allowances, and that sort of thing. And so over and above the obvious economic value of that, it's keeping our veterans in school, it's keeping them from sleeping in their cars, and it's allowing them to build a life here in South Orange County. And so to sum it up, I like this quote from the author, Marvin Phillips. The difference between try and triumph is a little umph. And I think that really kind of sums up what we do. And so at this point, we'll take your questions. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Jemal.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Mark and Dana coming a long way. Thank you for being here. It's great to have this report. I have, I think, 3 questions, one for state, one federal, one for both. On the state legislative side, I think I asked the same question a couple of years ago about what specifically we're doing to advocate for our district above and beyond the coalition work that appears to be going on. And I know Terry noted at the beginning that there's more legislative advocacy taking place at the state level, less grant advocacy, more grant advocacy at the federal level, less legislative advocacy for the reasons you stated. I'm wondering what opportunities, Mark, do you see for our district going forward, specifically outside of the bills that clearly benefit community colleges statewide, but that could possibly be beneficial to this district in particular?
Thank you for the question. That's a great question. And we talked a little bit about it. There's few grant opportunities at the state level. There will be this year the basic skills grant that was in the budget, the $60 million that I mentioned. Tomorrow morning we will have a planning meeting to talk about what we want for next year. And one of the things that we talk about from the state level is where we want the funding to go, because there's so few grant dollars. Most of the money is coming down from Prop 98. So what you're doing for the district is you're advocating for the money that's coming down to strategically be placed in areas where the money will help this district specifically. whether that be in the Student Success Categorical Program, whether that be with the equity funding that's coming in, whether it be with more basic skills money, whether it be with technology, equipment that's going to be critical for CTE courses. The big one coming up this year is going to be the Workforce Initiative. And there was the Chancellor's Office, like I said, just released a report on that. And
Just the doing what matters?
Yeah, exactly. And so there's 25 recommendations. One of them is to find a sustainable stream of funding for these. Now, where does this district think that money is most useful? And how can we leverage that to help the programs at this district? The other things, and I don't want to overlook the policy aspect of things with getting so far into the funding, but there are little tweaks that can be made policy-wise that may impact community colleges statewide, but they either come out of this district or specifically help this district. And one of those examples I mentioned briefly, but there was a nursing provision that was set to expire, and we got an email from your district saying, hey, this is going to expire July 1st. We can't even run a bill. We need to get language in the budget immediately because the budget takes place immediately. And so even though that language helped all the districts, it specifically helped this district and specifically came from this district when we were able to do that.
Can you tell the CSU lobbyists to stop blocking our bachelor provisions?
That's another thing we're going to have to do is expand that.
And then two more questions. One, I guess jointly, you know that ATEP is a priority for the board and for this campus. Do you see opportunities at the state or federal level where we can apply for funding to move the campus forward?
I think, to be honest, from the state level, I think it would be difficult. The problem we're getting at the state level with grants, with grant type funding, is that Prop 98 is so robust right now that nobody feels bad for us. So when we're saying, hey, we need some grant, we need more money over here for this, they're saying, well, what are you doing with this money that we're giving you? We had a banner year this year where almost $1 billion was provided to community colleges within Proposition 98. And in fact, they were trying to use some of the community college money to fund CSU and other areas. So grant opportunities would be difficult. If we can do something, tweak some language possibly to get Prop 98 money, then that would be something that might be more manageable.
And I can touch base on federal. ATEP is a consistent focus, and we loop in our priorities into and through ATEP, which is directly reflected in, for an example, in our Department of Labor grant for the health sciences, because that unit will ideally be moved to ATEP. And for the recent ANAPZ, the Minority Serving Institution funding, one unique quality of that money is it can be used for construction. And part of that incorporated into the grant is some money for special labs and stuff. President Rockmore really did listen on that because they didn't want a lot of staffing in that grant. They wanted things like we proposed dealing with the labs and special services. And he really listened. And that's why we got funded. And that is related with those dollars, and those are over 5 years, can be used. Most federal dollars are not for construction. There are a couple of programs and these minority serving institution programs. And then as you get closer, there is Economic Development Administration funding, which is usually upwards of about $3 million. And that will position for and be ready when the time is right. Usually they like to do the last bricks are pretty darn close. And so we should be able to apply for that. And that's a wonderful program in that it's revolving. It opens every quarter. And so they work with you really until you get funded. And we've already started those conversations with both our members and senators' offices as well as the agency.
I would say that reminded me, from the state level, one of the areas where you could get funded would be in equipment and materials to fund the needed equipment, the training equipment, and things of that nature.
Okay, quick last question. What both of you work with many other public agencies and districts. What role can we play as trustees that's more helpful to you or different than we've been doing? Is there anything that you would recommend on that front?
I can honestly say that I think this is one of the most well-run districts that I've experienced working with. The way that we have one point of contact that can go down and get information back to us is critical to our work. And I think bringing the high-profile issues to you to look at as a board is a great way to do it. I would say the one thing that you could do is if you're inclined to come to Sacramento in January. There's a league legislative conference, and Dana mentioned it earlier. The best time to get to know someone is when you're not asking them for something. And you guys have great members up there. I mean, Assemblyman Wagner is incredible. He knows this district inside out, as you know. But getting up there and getting in front of the members and laying out what your priorities are is definitely a good thing. And it doesn't have to be all the time, but just coming up, once a year, it really, really helps.
And he stole a little bit of what I was going to say, that if you're going to be in D.C. for any reason, let me know, and let's even do like 1 or 2 meetings. We can do a half a day, because these folks talk to me all the time, and don't get me wrong, they like me, but I can't replace you. And both presidents have been really wonderful and came and did terrific meetings. Bob Martucci has done meetings, Terry's done meetings, and all of that adds up, and Donna and Kathy, and so when anyone's going to be in D.C., just let me know, because we can utilize you, and you've got things to say, and it's really beneficial. And just let Terry and the administration keep doing what they're doing. It's working.
I just wanted to add that one of the things where you could be helpful is in the ATEP discussion is that we have spent a lot of time talking to our members and members of various committees and of various agencies to kind of let them know what we've done so far in ATEP. How much money we've spent on ATEP, that we had to tear down the buildings, this free gift of federal land, it's kind of a joke, and they laugh about it. But sort of to let them know sort of how far we have to go still. And one of the places where we can be helpful is just trying to go after program development money right now to get the faculty working on the curriculum, to get those programs in place. And that's maybe the kind of funding that we can go for more than building dollars in Washington, D.C. But to illustrate how interested they are, a couple of weeks ago, the legislative director from D.C. came out to visit us. She was in town for some local district time, and we did a tour of ATEP and a great tour with President Rockmore of IVC, and we were able to lay out our vision, talk about what our challenges were. They were very interested. It's right in Mimi Walters' backyard. So the more we show that we're sort of at the beginning of this process and we have a long way to go and get their buy-in, then we get them invested and we have them follow along with us and start thinking about ways that they can help us. And we had those conversations.
And she shared what she emailed us like a couple of days after she was here and says, "Oh, I was just in a meeting and I shared your story with someone else." And so that kind of stuff matters. People like to be part of success.
Great.
Thank you.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done. That was only 3 questions.
Trustee Milchiker.
Only 3 questions.
Yeah. Okay. I just have several quick questions. Certainly, it looks like we're really getting a good return on investment from our federal and state advocates. And, I have often go up to Sacramento during the Ledge conference and actually meet with legislators. And you are absolutely right. It's good to get to know legislators when you're not asking for something. So then when you ask for something, they don't think you'd say, you always come to me just when you need something. So, but the question I have is for Mark. You mentioned that the California community colleges are the most highly regulated system in the country. I'd never heard that. I've been around for a long time. And how do you mean that? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's so they're the most regulated higher education system in California by far. And if you look at other higher education systems throughout the country, the California community colleges are far more regulated than the vast majority of them. Anything that you want to do with a community college requires legislation. I mean, we did a bill a few years back because we wanted to allow students to get discounted transit passes at one of the school districts, and we had to get legislation for that. So you're not like UC where you have constitutional autonomy. You're not like CSU where you have very broad, blanketed authority to do things like set fees and things of that nature. But the community colleges our board of governors are part of a state agency, and then we're run by local boards, obviously. And to do anything requires a law, just about.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Trustee Lang.
Thanks. So I had maybe a couple more basic questions that I wanted to ask in terms of how the process works. Obviously, you're working in those environments at the federal and the state level. You're aware of different sort of grants that might be available, and I'm specifically focused on the grant process at this point. You would make us aware of that. Our teams would make you aware of what our needs are. You would then help us either write grants or identify grants that would meet those needs. So I'm just trying to understand, how that all works at the federal and the state level in terms of how we interact.
Well, we do have our own grant writers at the colleges who do all of the grant writing for us, for our district. The exchange does go both ways. You're correct. Sometimes we identify a priority, such as ATEP. We go out and start kind of paving the road for that, like we did with the Department of Labor grant and the allied health programs. Another example might be that Dana would bring something to our attention that's coming up down the line. And she meets with these agencies all the time. So we kind of know in advance, 6 months out, what they're, kind of where they're going, what their priority is going to be. We start meeting with them. They start telling us about their priorities. And then we bring that information back, and the grant staff are able to weave those into their grant applications and that sort of thing. So the exchange does go both ways.
Great. Seeing no further requests to speak, I think you're off the hook. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I've received a request to advance 7.1, the Saddleback and IVC Foundation annual reports. Do I have any objection to that, advancing that? So if we'll go ahead and have them come up and give their presentation, and then we'll get back to the agenda as ordered.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Chancellor Portner. Thank you for the opportunity to present on the Foundation's activities for the 2014-2015 academic year. It is my pleasure to call upon Bill Hewitt, President of the Irvine Valley College Foundation Board of Governors, to present the information for IVC.
You know what you didn't do? You didn't introduce yourself as the new executive director. This is our new executive director.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Oransky, and I am the new executive director. I've been on board just about 3 months now. Thank you.
And we're very fortunate to have her indeed. It's my honor to be here tonight to represent Irvine Valley College and the foundation. I was actually going to wear a tie, and then I was afraid that you guys wouldn't recognize me, so I decided to take it off. Irvine Valley College's foundation has done a wonderful thing this past year. As you can see on the very first page of the presentation, we received a total amount of contributions of about $682,000. In our events, we raised about $100,000 between the two events of the Outstanding Invention and our gala that many of you attended, and I want to thank you personally. For those that were not able to make it, we're going to have another one. Thank you. We're going to have another one next April, and we would like to invite you early, and we'll remind you often. Other revenues that we received were revenues that were commissions, rents, interest, and sales of items for $230,000, and the district support of the staff and salaries and conferences and supplies and so on and so forth of $433,000 for total revenue during the 2014-15 year of $1.446 million. What's not included in this is the in-kind gifts that we also received of about $18,000. Let me go to the next page if you don't mind. This is kind of a breakdown of how the expenditures occurred. As you can see, the top part of the page is just a reflection of the previous page. The bottom part is a way... Is it too close? Okay. The bottom half under the expenditures is the way in which the foundation reports its expenditures on an annual basis on our 990 forms for IRS. The program support is the direct dollars that we received and expended towards supporting all the programs that the college is involved with. That totals $981,000. The administration and general expenses is a category that the feds under IRS require we talk about in terms of what was the actual cost for administering the programs, and that would include a portion of her salary, our staff salary, some of the expenses that occurred during that period of time. Finally, the fundraising costs are the costs that actually we spent in raising the funds for the gala and for the Astounding Inventions, which, by the way, is going to be the last week of January, and I'd strongly encourage you to attend. We will get invitations out to all of you. So as you can see, our final net assets for the year was $163,000. Now, that's not a lot of money, but we're well on our way to raising $1 million, so it's one step at a time. Finally, the beginning balance for July 1 of the previous year was $2,091,000, and our ending balance this summer was $2,250,000. So we're continuing to grow our revenues. If I can direct yourself to the next page, this is just a breakdown of the amount of contributions that we've distributed over the past, well, I guess about 5 years, 6 years actually, it looks like here, the bar graphs. So we've gone from a $577,000 a year expenditure for support, program support, to $981,000, or almost double the amount in the last 6 years, which I'm very proud to say that all the faculty, staff, and all the people involved in it made a significant difference. The following page, thank you, is a page that reflects the amount of scholarship monies that we distributed over the last 6 years. And it's grown, as you can see, from $109,000 in 2010 to $373,000, or almost tripled the amount of dollars that we've distributed in the last 5 years, which has been quite a success. Let me just add to that we had a total of 590 scholarships this year. And we had a total recipient pool of 436 students that received that amount of money. Finally, let me just summarize real quickly some of the events that stand out over the past year in terms of our successes. We were very successful in receiving monies from Measure BB, which was a bond passed by the city of Irvine, and we were receiving a $100,000 grant per year to promote transfer programs, college readiness programs, and summer programs for students within, I believe it's both the Tustin area and the Irvine area. Am I correct?
Primarily Irvine, but a little
Yeah. And you're familiar with it, I'm sure. Okay. We received a grant for $25,000 for STEM programs and a summer bridge program to encourage youth to pursue STEM as part of their career goals. Excuse me. We received from the Assistance League $34,500, where last year we only received $10,000. So there's a significant increase in the contributions that we received from them. The foundation dinner raised $85,000, which was probably the most outstanding foundation that or gala that we've had in my memory. We had 325 people attend. We sold out. There wasn't an empty seat. And I thank again those members that were able to come to the last gala. Finally, as a part of building and continuing to expand the foundation, we've successfully recruited a wide range of new members to the board, totaling 11 brand new members that have never served on the board before. And they represent organizations. They represent one of our new members is an engineer for Google. Another one is part of Edwards Life Sciences. We have a couple of new attorneys. We have a new bank person. So we're actually getting very diverse, and I believe we're on the road to making things happen, great things happen in our foundation. Finally, our scholarship awards banquet, and many of you attended that as well, had the most students that we've had in many, many years attend, with over 200 students that were there to receive scholarships and so on and so forth. That's it. Somebody on the board says, could you be short? I know it's going to be a long night tonight. And I thank you very much. And if you'd like to ask me any questions, please do so.
Okay.
In other words, thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Any
Do you
questions?
have any questions at this time, or are you going to wait until after Saddleback's? We'll wait until after Saddleback.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. There we go. Board, thank you very much for this opportunity to present the financial results for Saddleback College Foundation fiscal year ending June 2015. My name is Anthony Ferry. I'm the first vice president of the Saddleback College Foundation Board of Governors, joined by Don Rickner, president of the foundation. He's going to jump in here as I forget stuff. I'll dive right in the interest of time with net assets for 2009 through 2015. Nice steady growth, continuing on Irvine Valley's success there. We are sharing the same. You're not going to see a whole lot of bad news here, so this will be pretty easy for me. Year ending 2015 with a total net assets of over $10 million. Unrestricted funds being one which we continue to strive to seek out, is giving us more flexibility for the how we can support the college. A summary of our revenue and gifts in kind for the 2014-15 year. As you can see, contributions totaling $2.4 million, making up the majority of that. It was hinted or whispered in my ear, you may be interested to know where the district funds go, and that's in the upper left. I don't know what color it looks like for you. I guess the orange, total of $389,000.
The 11% is where those funds show up. Total endowments at a record $6.4 million currently. That big jump in 2012, as you've probably seen in years past, was the Dorothy Lowry contribution. We are seeing a continued large gifts and endowment gifts trend, so something that we definitely like as it supports the longevity for the foundation and its ability to support the college. So similar to what you saw for Irvine Valley, our total for total activities, I guess, for the fiscal year 14-15. Summarize through break them down. I guess if you have questions about any individual ones, we can dive into those. Total income for the year, $3.670,600, with total expenses of $2.5, leaving a change in net assets for the year of just over $1.1 million. We'll dive into some details with some of those numbers there, which I'm sure you may have some questions about with regard to scholarships. We'll dive into that as we hit some of those stats and get through these, and then to your questions. Total contributions up 31%, with assets up 16%. Scholarship awards, as you saw from before, $732,000. That's up as well, with the number of not just the total dollars up, but the number of students receiving scholarships to 449 for that year. Endowments, as you saw, growing $195,000, which includes 12 brand new endowments for that year. Our gala attendance also set a record for that for this year for 506 people. Very, very exciting event, and as mentioned by Irvine Valley, you'll be expecting invitations from us as well. Sue and Bill gross contribution of $250 for the continuing support of the Gross Scholars Program. Jane Clark's estate gift from her IRA, valued at $1.2, one of our larger donations, estate donations for this year, to be split between nursing and the Emeritus Institute. Gary Damsker committed $250,000 of his estate. Jason Schmidt, for those of you that attended the gala last year, Mr. Saddleback and a former Gaucho quarterback, owner of J.T. Schmidt's, was our Alumnus of the Year. We were happy to have him. We have a new foundation president who wasn't able to be here giving this presentation tonight as he's traveling, but Mr. Michael Hamilton, you'll probably be seeing him shortly. I'm sure some of you know him already. The foundation also added several new Board of Governors this year. Mr. Mahbub Akhtar, John Quinlan, Dr. Jeannie Harris-Caldwell, who I appreciate joining us tonight and still here, and Dr. Morgan Barrows. So with that, I'd like to thank you on behalf of both Saddleback and Irvine Valley College. At this time, any questions or any details that we can share, we'd be happy to answer.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Jemal.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Prendergast. Thank you for the presentation. Alyssa, welcome. Congratulations. Don, fabulous job you guys are doing. Anthony and Bill, thank you for your leadership on the board. Strongly supportive of both foundations and so integral to what we are doing here. So thank you again for the volunteers and for Don and Alyssa, your leadership. My one question is on I noticed that as a percentage of income, district support for IVC is at about 30% of the income for the foundation, and at Saddleback it's about 10%. So is there a percentage we're striving to achieve as a district, or do we even have a policy on that? Could maybe Alyssa or Don, one of you, address that issue?
No, there is no district policy. Each college decides how much of their funds they're willing to share with the foundation leadership. So it's been my proposal over time that the colleges provide at least 4 positions, 5 functions for each of the foundations. Saddleback currently is providing 2 positions. IVC, I think, is providing 4.
So your recommendation is that the colleges fund 4 full-time positions for the foundation?
It is.
Okay.
If I may just comment, Tim. It is our goal also, remember, we're still a smaller school and we're really kind of getting started in this. And so I think in the long run, what you'll see is as our income goes up, the percentage of cost contributed by the district will go down, or by the college.
Thank you.
Trustee Lang.
Yes. I think also there are some guidelines for charitable organizations on, how much a percentage of their fundraising ought to be, essentially overhead costs. And my experience has been that ranges in the 10 to 15% range, for those charities that are obviously very efficient. But I don't know, Don, you probably have a better.
There are a couple things you can look at. One is the IRS. Bill mentioned that administrative costs we detail to the IRS in our 990s, and they like that number to be under 25% for cost of running programs. You may be familiar with Red Cross and some of the larger funding groups typically take somewhere between 10 and 20% of their cost for operations. Mm-hmm. In community colleges, I've found that it's seldom less than 30%. Okay. And that was also the case with several of the CSUs that I looked at. So okay. The larger you are, obviously, there is economy of scale. So,
no doubt about it. I think the other question I had was for Alyssa, and that was we've got the figure for district support of $433,000, but it seemed to me, and I may be recalling this incorrectly, that a portion of the $682,000 that we're showing as contributions was also support provided by the college. Am I not remembering that correctly?
No,
do you recall?
It's the 600 and I'm going to just open my presentation, but the number of 682,449, that's all contributions.
Okay, so that is pure outside contributions.
Pure outside contributions, yes.
Okay, and the 433 is contributions that have been made by the college or the district in the form of salaries and other forms of support.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
College.
It is the college,
right. Yes.
Not the district.
Perfect. Seeing no further requests to speak, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, so now we'll go back to consent calendar items. 5.0, do I have any polls?
Yes. Mr. President?
Oh, I was waiting for requests to speak.
Oh, I was trying to do that.
There we go.
Okay.
Trustee Lang.
5, 8, 5, 9, 5, 10, and 5, 13.
5, 8, 5, 9, 5, one more time?
10, and 13.
And 5, 1, 3. Okay. Seeing no further requests to speak, I assume there are no further polls. So at this point, I will entertain a motion for the balance of the consent calendar. I have a motion from Trustee Jemal, a second from Trustee Wright for the balance of the consent calendar, minus 5.8, 5.9, 5.10, and 5.13. Go ahead and vote on that. Have a unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory yes vote. So all of these are yours, so we'll start with 5.8. Trustee Lang.
Yes, I think the question that I had on 5.8 was in the background information. The second paragraph indicates that we had approved agreements that do not fully meet the need, and that troubled me, I guess, and so I wanted somebody to explain what that was all about.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
So we, a year ago, pursued these services, and two companies responded to our request for proposals. And over the course of the year, it was discovered that one of the companies desired increased fees for their services, and it was rather a hardship for the program. And so in order to be able to meet the programmatic needs, we went out this year again for some more services. And having obtained those, the company that felt maybe they deserved additional fees has decided against that. So now we're in a really good place.
Oh. So is it the same company that is presently operating those programs?
We have a third company now that's joined the group. That company has worked for Saddleback College before and provided us with excellent services. She thought she would retire, and hearing of this need, has rejoined our group.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
With that, I'll move approval.
Second.
All right, motion from Trustee Lang and a second from Trustee Jemal. Seeing no further requests to speak on the item, we'll go ahead and vote. Trustee Milchiker.
Someone hasn't
Oh, I
voted.
did.
2 seconds. All right.
Thanks.
Unanimous yes vote, 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. Moving on to 5.9, Saddleback College Radio Transmitter Building Project.
Yes, so I think we can probably take 5.9 and 5.10 together,
Okay.
because 5.9 talks about a change order, and at the same time 5.10 talks about filing the notice of completion, which would indicate to me that the change order has already been done.
Correct.
So I'm just wondering why we wouldn't have seen the change order back in July or whenever it was and approved it at that time rather than taking them both together now.
I can't speak to why the college took that position because this is actually a college managed project, but I can tell you in general that oftentimes when we're in the middle of construction, there's a good chance that there would be a delay if we didn't proceed with the work, and we have approved changes with contractors immediately in order to move forward with the project and prevent the delay and the added costs.
Okay, well finessed.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
All right.
I'll move approval.
I have a motion and
Second it.
a motion from Trustee Lang, a second from Trustee Wright. Seeing no further requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Actually, for clarification, were you moving?
I was moving both
5.9 and
items. Yes, I
5.1.
was.
Yes, so that's a vote for both. All right. Unanimous yes vote, 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory yes. Okay. Then now we have 5.13.
Yes, I was just interested in a little bit more background information. I guess this is in connection with a grant, I think it is. If I'm...
It's fine. Put in your request.
Yes, in connection with the California CIA grant. And so I just wanted a little bit more information about, what's the grant, what is the grant amount again, and what other costs do we expect to incur with respect to this grant? Can anybody help me on that?
I can share a little bit, but not that specific answer.
Okay.
So Common Assessment Initiative is a statewide grant that is actually being spearheaded by a different college, and we had the opportunity to participate in the activities of the grant, including the marketing of the Common Assessment Initiative. And so this grant, the monies are coming from another college to us, so we're like a sub-grantee, and our part in it is to promote it at the onset. So this is about a video which is going to be distributed across the state of California. I know that the people at the State Chancellor's Office who are overseeing the grant are very excited about the process that was undertaken to obtain these video production services, and hopefully it'll give us an opportunity to be a bigger part of this.
Okay. I was just really getting towards the financial dynamics of this, if you will, to make certain that, we fully expected to remain within the amount that was provided under the grant.
Yeah, we are a subcontractor with Butte College, which got the primary award. We've been working with them. Our piece in this is professional development for all of the colleges within the state, and the video series is expected to work within the budget that we've been allocated.
Okay, thank you.
I had a question.
Trustee Jemal.
What is the length of the video?
I don't remember specifically.
Just curious.
There are actually it's a series of videos, but the idea is to communicate the information about what the assessment is, what it's comprised of, The colleges will each be setting their own cut score because it is going to be different based on the curriculum being offered at the colleges.
I thought it was for one video, the $125,000 for the production of one video. You're saying it's for a series of...
My understanding is it's a series. I could be wrong.
Because it looked awfully expensive for one. That's what I'm getting towards.
No, I believed it was a series.
So,
Okay.
if you don't mind, it's a 5 to 6 minute video, and what the firm that was chosen provided to us was an opportunity to use all of the I guess it wouldn't be tape anymore, but the digital copy, and make a series of modules. And they've done this on a number of occasions where maybe a 4 or 5 day shoot gets turned into 12 or 13 modules that can be used for different reasons.
And it's my understanding it's being distributed throughout the entire state, so that's part of the cost? Okay.
Yes.
Part of the cost is distribution, not production?
I'd have to check the contract
If you could let us know later. Thank you.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Trustee Lang, second from Trustee Jemal. We'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. That concludes the consent calendar. We'll move on to general action items. We have item 6.1, appointment of trustee representative to serve as a representative to the District Audit Committee. I believe in the past that has been Trustee Lang.
Yeah, just for reference, we've the two members currently on the audit committee are Trustee Jemal and myself.
Okay. So we're only appointing one?
Correct. So it shouldn't be either one of us.
Oh, one new additional.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Does someone want to serve? Would someone be interested in serving?
I would be interested in that.
Okay, I'll nominate. Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll nominate TJ, the board president, to serve on the audit committee.
Second. I was going to nominate Terry Witt since she's not here, but since you desire it.
Going back to roommate law? That's mean.
Just a reminder that the audit committee does meet in October prior to the board meeting on the board meeting date, I believe, if I remember correctly.
On October 26th?
I believe so.
Oh, that might
well,
be an issue.
That's a problem. What time do they normally meet?
Let me check real quick. I think it was 3 o'clock, something like that.
I had forgotten about that.
And how long do they run?
An hour.
Just a couple hours.
Well, then we might be okay. If it's an hour,
We'll work it out.
we'll figure it out.
It starts at 2:30 and runs to 4:30, and it's a combined district and foundation audit exit meeting.
Okay, so
In
that would just
October.
shorten our other special meeting to a half hour. We'll have to see.
Or this could be 2 to 4.
Sure.
Okay.
Just let us know how you want to handle that.
That might be better, 2 to 4, and then we have 4 to 5, and then, hey, nice long day. Okay.
You're it.
Do we vote on that? All right, so we need to go ahead and vote on that, and I assume I abstained.
Vote for yourself.
You could vote for yourself, that's right.
Okay, so we have 5 yes votes, 1 trustee absent, 1 abstention, and 1 student advisory yes vote. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
6.2, authorization of payment to trustee absent from board meeting. A
Second.
motion from Trustee Wright, second from Trustee Lang. Go ahead and vote on the item. Five yes votes, 1 trustee absent, 1 abstention, 1 student advisory yes vote. 6.3, trustee travel and compensation.
Move approval.
I have a motion from Trustee Lang, second from Trustee Jemal. Go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. 6.4, board policy revision for discussion and approval. So we've already had it for review and study.
I'll move the item.
I have a motion from Trustee Jemal.
Oh, I would.
Need a second from somebody. I guess I'll second it. Trustee Prendergast seconds. I have a question from Trustee Lang.
Yes, just wanted to get clarification that we are Are we also approving the administrative reg or just the board policies?
No, but the reg was provided so that it was reference only for the board. Sometimes when we move language from a BP to an AR, it's helpful for the board to see that it just didn't disappear.
No question about it. I just wanted to clarify that we were not approving the administrative reg,
Correct.
just the policies.
All right. Trustee Wright.
My question is, I want to know if the academic senates are in agreement with this.
Hi, speaking for the IVC Academic Senate, we are beyond in agreement with this. We are about to start cheering about
Good.
this.
The Saddleback College Academic Senate also supports this.
Beyond.
All right.
And we're beyond, too.
Thank you.
Seeing no further requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. You have a unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory yes vote. You can start cheering now. That was a weak cheer. All right, 6.5, Board Policy Revision for Review and Study.
Move the item.
I have a motion from Trustee Jemal, second from Trustee Wright. As this is for review and study, if you have issues, you can review and study it and bring them back later. We'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory yes vote. 6.6, ATEP Utilities and Infrastructure Project.
Move approval.
I have a motion from Trustee Lang.
I second it.
From Trustee Jemal. I'll give it to Trustee Jay.
I second it.
All right. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory yes vote. 6.7, ATEP Land Exchange Demolition Project. That actually saves us $25,000. Except for the 10 you spent without our approval.
Second.
I have a motion from Trustee Lang, a second from Trustee Milchiker. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory yes vote. 6.8, ATEP Land Exchange Demolition Notice of Completion.
We're finally done.
All right, we have a motion from Trustee Jemal, second from Trustee Wright. Request to speak from Trustee Lang.
Yes, I think that I had the same issue with 6.7 and 6.8 that I had with the earlier comments that I made about those items that were on the consent calendar, and I'm assuming your answer is going to be very similar. Oh, well, good. Then I want to hear it.
So this one's about a decrease. And what this does is it puts money back into the district's coffers from an allowance that was provided with the project. So because this was a demolition project and there was a lot of things underground on a decommissioned naval base, we had a pretty big allowance in the project, and it was bigger than we needed. So we're putting money back.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you netted $15,000. Okay. So we have no more requests to speak. We'll go and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory yes vote. 6.10, Saddleback College Technology and Applied Science Building Swing Space Project. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
I have a motion from Trustee Jemal.
Second.
Second from Trustee Lang. Seeing no request to speak, we'll vote on the item. A unanimous yes vote, one trustee absent, one student advisory yes vote. 6.11, Saddleback College Advanced Technology and Applied Science Renovation Project. Hiring a construction manager. 6.11. We already did 6.10.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion from Trustee Lang. Second from Trustee Milchiker. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go and vote on the item.
Did we skip 6.10? 6.10? Okay.
Yes.
No, I
this
did
was
it.
6.1.
6
Oh.
point, I think
Oh,
6.10.
you know what? They're the same title, so I did skip over one of them. I'm not sure which one.
6.10. 6.10.
Okay. Sorry. Well, we'll finish 6.11 and then we'll go back to it. Trustee Jay.
What?
Trustee Jay, we're voting.
Oh.
All right. Unanimous yes vote, 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory yes. Going back to 6.10.
Move approval.
We have a
Second.
motion from Trustee Lang, Trustee Jemal seconds. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. 6.12, we have a recess to public hearing. So we are now at Board Agenda Item 6.12 regarding a public hearing on the Police Officer Association initial proposal to the district. Before we have that public hearing, Vice Chancellor David Baize will provide an introduction.
The board will conduct a public hearing to provide an opportunity for the public to comment on the Police Officer Association's initial proposal to the district. If you have any questions throughout this public hearing process, I'll be here to assist.
Okay, so does the board at this time have any questions for staff to assist with their understanding of the matter? Seeing no request to speak, Board Item 6.12, a public hearing on the matter at hand is now open. Public comments are not to exceed 2 minutes. Do I have any requests to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any further discussion on this matter by the board? Item 6.12 is concluded. Do we need to vote to approve the... Okay, then we're good there. All right, 6.13, District Initial Proposal to Police Officers Association.
Move
I do
acceptance for review and study.
have a motion from Trustee Lang.
Second.
Second from Trustee Jemal. Seeing no request to speak, we'll go and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. 6.14, academic personnel actions.
Move approval.
A motion from Trustee Milchiker.
Second.
Second from Trustee Jemal. No changes, I assume? All right. No request to speak. We'll go and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. 6.15, classified personnel actions.
Move approval.
Motion from Trustee Wright.
Second.
Second from Trustee Jemal. No changes. I have a request to speak from Trustee Lang.
Yes, I just wanted to get some clarification on what's happening with all of the various items in B that college grants that look like it's tied to C1. Some of this was contingent upon some funding under a workday project. There was a lot of things going on here, and I was hoping maybe to get some clarification on at least 1, 2, 3, and 6, perhaps.
You're in Exhibit B?
Yes.
Okay.
Authorization to establish and announce a classified position.
Okay.
Well, Exhibit A, page 5 of 18, item B.
Okay. Okay. I have it. Thank you. Okay.
This is why I like paper, by the way.
Yes.
I don't know. I found it.
These are all special funded positions for the most part. The grants manager is funded by something other than general funds, and so does it go down.
So what is workday project funds?
That would be special funded projects through the workday budget account. I'll turn that over to Deborah.
Thank you.
My understanding is that there's some backfill that's taking place because one of the folks that are incumbent in the position has been working on Workday project. As you know, the Workday financial module includes grants, and they have been working hard on that. So they did some shifting of some people in positions to accommodate backfill, and that's for a short period of time. So the workday piece is actually very small compared to the rest of the categorical funding.
Okay.
And for a limited time.
Okay. And then 2 had to do with hiring somebody at the foundation level, additional person at foundation level at IVC.
Yes, Director of Annual Giving on B2 on page 5.
Yes. Okay. So now, I thought I heard in the presentation from before that we had 4 people at IVC and 2 at Saddleback. I guess I'm just trying to understand the dynamics here a little bit. Maybe you can help me with that.
I believe at Saddleback a portion are funded through the foundation funds,
Yes.
as opposed to.
Well, and remember, when there's positions, there's full-time and part-time positions. I don't believe you have 5 full-time positions. No, there's
Okay,
some
this is a
part-time
full-time
IVC.
position.
This one is.
Yeah.
But that's not special funded.
Okay. Annual Giving and Development Services. And that is not Alyssa, correct? That.
No. I don't. I don't believe so. Alyssa's the executive director. I think this is the establishment of a brand new position that starts tomorrow.
No, this is one of the 4 that Alyssa talked about. Yes.
Okay.
So it's not an additional position.
It's not an additional,
to those
yeah.
4.
Correct.
Just happen to be starting tomorrow.
That's okay. That's what I was. I was confused about that. And then we've got a specially funded position in the nursing program, I see. And does that have to do with the grant?
It's a grant, yes.
Okay, so that's a grant-funded
Yes.
position.
In fact,
for
2 of them
that.
on here are grants.
Okay. And then finally, we've got number 6 was another person that's being deployed, using these workday funds, I take it.
For the night?
Yeah.
Yes. Another backfill, looks like.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. See no more requests to speak. We'll go and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. 6.16, full-time faculty hiring amendment.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
from trustee Lang, or trustee Jemal, a second from trustee Milchiker. Seeing no requests to speak, we'll go and.
Request to speak.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It's that Saddleback has their list of hiring out right now, and that's great. But what about IVC? Have they gotten their list out for the hiring?
On this particular item, this is in October every year we bring forward a list from both colleges, and then as they make changes, we make additions to them. So this is the original list from last year. Saddleback is requested to make an addition to add this additional position to last year's funding. Next month, you'll see a list from both colleges that'll list all the positions they plan on recruiting for next year.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
All right.
I have a question I'll ask.
Trustee Lang.
And how many of these positions do we actually expect to fill? Of the, so you're seeking authorization to hire for all of these positions, including a number that are vacant. Okay,
No,
help me out.
I was going to ask you. I think it's a little confusing too. This is just simply a replacement position for a paramedic instructor position. All we're asking for is replacement of that. That's all the position is.
So this is last year's list of what
Right.
you were looking to hire.
Yeah.
So the vacant positions, you just weren't able to find anybody to
No,
fill
there's a
them.
vacancy of another one. We're changing it to the paramedic instructor of a replacement position.
Got it.
So it's not a net increase.
Very
Does that make
confusing.
sense?
Very confusing.
I know it is.
All right.
And this is the old list, as we had said, David had said, from last year. So they have to show that, I guess.
Yes.
So seeing no more requests to speak, we'll go ahead and vote on the item. Unanimous yes vote, 1 trustee absent, 1 student advisory yes vote. So now moving on to 7.2, administrative staffing levels at the district. Any questions on that?
On this particular item, Mr. President, if I could address it. If you go through, this was a request by the Board of Trustees for a report looking at different academic administrators. And Education Code separates really a group of employees. One is called academic or educational, and the other one is classified. So with this particular one, when it comes down to classifications of the different types, you'll see that overall the district, we have over 100 different positions in a group we call the District Administrators Managers. An acronym is called DAM. That group, and so with that, that group consists of some educational administrators, which is a title defined in Education Code, people that have direct supervision or some part of academics. So with that, if you go through, you look in the table here on the very bottom of the status, you'll see we went through, there's 72 districts in the state, and the CCLC technically classifies 26 of them as multi-college, although I think there's only 25, but I included 26 one just because. With that, if you go through, you'll see that we did a survey. The data was drawn directly from the Chancellor's office, and the data is all sitting right there for you to review. We went through, and if you look at the range, you'll have a range between 1.5% all the way up to 5.71% of each district's total employee count tend to be educational administrators. On the statewide, they make up 2.37% of all employees, and the median, that point right in the middle, is 2.24%. In the case of multi-college districts in the state of California, educational administrators make up 1.99%, which actually is the 8th lowest of the multi-college districts. So this is a report requested by the board, and if anything, we tend to be on the low side based upon the data from the Chancellor's office.
So these are educational administrators from the colleges as well as the district level.
We couldn't separate the data between the two, but
right.
from
the total, so that 40, out of all the employees in the district, 1.99% are educational administrators either at one of the colleges or at the district.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. In district services, there's 4 educational administrators in all district services.
Right. Okay.
This is an annual report that's on the State Chancellor's Office Data Mart and can be easily obtained each year.
Okay. Trustee Lang.
So can I guess, read into the data that you've provided to us that this is maybe a refutation of the assertion that some people have made that we've devoted too many of our resources to administrative people, or that we have hired more temporary folks than our colleagues throughout the system? What kind of conclusions should we be able to draw from this?
As a refutation, it's just the data. This is the truth. This is what we're presenting to the board. For educational administrators, they tend to be your higher-end people in the district administrators, managers financially. We have a lower percentage than the vast majority of the districts in the state. Out of really 25 or 26 districts that are multi-college districts, we're the 8th lowest percentage-wise, and that's just the raw data. The other group, part of the district administrators, managers, we have a lot of classified managers, but a lot of them have very specialized functions. You may have one person occupying the position in the entire district, or even 3, but it really is seldom there's a lot of them. But with that, I'd like the presidents, if you want to dive in with that, any comments or anything. But this really is about educational administrators from a district-wide basis, how we present.
Okay. So did you guys want to add anything? Or
I think the only thing I'd like to add is, and David knows this because we talked, a few years ago, if you recall, when we were bringing forth the new vice president of administrative services position, the trustees that were around at that time, we did an analysis at that time, and it showed very consistent data. In fact, at that time, we were even lower. We thought we were like both IVC and Saddleback, and we looked at the college level in a multi-college district. This looks at all administrators from a district perspective, which is consistent, showing that we were one of the lowest in the whole state. And at that time, we were just looking at academic administrators as well, deans, vice presidents, presidents. And I think we were third, the third lowest in the state. So it is very consistent.
Okay. Gary, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, my only comment was going to be that Trustee Lang's question was, is this to refute something? And that's not actually the reason it's here. It's here because in your listening sessions, the topic came up. Now, that may be, I wasn't at those sessions, that may be what was alleged at the sessions, but the board has since asked for a report on it. And so this is just simply giving the board a report on what it asked for.
Yeah, my recollection is that was the assertion that was trying to be made, is that relative to other districts or colleges throughout the state, that we had an inordinate amount of resources devoted to, administrative costs, and this would indicate, at least to me, that maybe that isn't so.
Yes, that's right.
Faculty Association.
Yes, hi. I have a question about this. Where are the classified managers on this list?
Underclassified?
So
they're part of that whole group.
Okay, because I think one of the issues is not the assertion that was made at the listening session, because I was at that listening session, was not just educational administrators, but managers in general. So now with these numbers, it seems to be hard to know how many of those classified are management.
And the state office doesn't make that delineation?
This is how, it's very hard to find this kind of comparative data across the 72 districts in California. This was a good third-party source because it is something that's reported every year, and it was the best that we could do to address it. Otherwise, it's just surveying people at different points in time. You're going to get different pieces of information. It really isn't very valid to try to do something like that on a sort of ad hoc basis. So this is something that's done at the same point each year and comparable. So you can look at trends, you could look at the same categories, how people classify things, etc.
So if we were going to want to get a report that dives deeper into that, you would have to do it on your own and not have another source do it.
It would end up being a telephone survey of us calling it individual districts, because some districts you may have a classified manager doing a function. Another time you may have an academic manager doing exactly the same function. Another case, a classified staff member. So sometimes duties overlap. So you'll see a lot of hyper specialization when you go through the board agenda. You'll see the different positions. When they say classified manager, you'll see some very specific, unique titles relating to them that are unique in the district.
I add one more complication, too, and you talked about it earlier, is that a lot of classified management positions are actually categorical or special funded. Mm-hmm. So it's very hard to get apples to apples, especially from a funding perspective of when you see a position. So it may presume to see a lot of classified managers, but if they're paid by grants or paid by particular funds, it's not using general funds, for instance. Mm-hmm. Academic administrators are a lot more consistent. So it is kind of a pretty good analysis.
So we have halfway addressed the listening session concern. Okay. Trustee Lang?
My takeaway is that it's interesting but not particularly useful.
Kathy?
The other thing is, if the question were really about resources, this doesn't speak to resources. This is the number of positions. Resources has to do with salary scales.
Dollars. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And my sense is the discussion was a little bit more nuanced than, as I think Claire indicated, and I also was looking at it in terms of resources as well. There are numbers here, but they don't delineate the percentage of resources devoted to each category. So I agree with you. I think it's interesting, but not particularly useful.
So is it beyond the realm of expectation that we get a little bit different report on the same topic at a later date?
I don't see how we would be able to do it, particularly if you're asking for dollars, because it'd be, how would you get that information from each district in a state to do any kind of comparison?
Yeah, unless that was public information
right.
that was disseminated in a particular manner. I agree.
Okay. And by the way, this report does include all funds, so it includes categorical for all districts.
Chancellor?
I think it'd be very difficult to get that information. The reason that we gave you Chancellor's Office information is it's objective. It's what is reported to the state of California each year, and it's not something that that we do to make up a report, and then you got allegations, well, they just made it look this way or make it look that way. I mean, you've got objective data there that comes from a source other than us. Any other kind of report that means we call the vice president or vice chancellor of HR at every district in the state and say, let's go through all of the classified management people you have. Are they categorical, and how much do you pay them for each one of these positions? And you did that for 72 districts. And when you got done, everyone would say, oh, you just made the numbers up anyway. So I think you'd have to tell us what it is that you want, and then we'll try to go get that information.
Or it could be something where an interest is expressed at the state chancellor office level that this is data that people would be interested in, and let them collect it. Okay. All right. That horse is dead. 7.3, staff response to public comments from the previous board meeting. Did we have any report there? Looks like we had the information from Miss Lee. Okay. And she's been contacted back. Thank you. 7.4, Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College speakers. Any questions on that? 7.5, basic aid report. Any questions on that?
No changes from last month.
No changes. 7.6, monthly financial status report.
Just note that there's 2 months here because of year-end close and how we do things at
right. Yeah, that got me. I thought maybe there was a glitch, and then I read the titles. Took me a minute. 7.7, trust fund. Trustee Lang.
Yeah, obviously our fund took a hit because of the downturn in the market, and I guess we really won't know what the effect of all of this is relative to future funding and contributions that may be required until we hear from our actuary. Is that right?
Right. And as of today, it's still down. It's still about the same level in this report. It's going to take a little bit of time to bounce back, but they expect that it will be.
Yeah.
So it may not have any effect, but we don't know yet at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. 7.8, facilities plan status report. Any questions on that? All right. Then we'll move on to reports from administration and government groups. We have Saddleback College Academic Senate.
Good evening, members of the Board of Trustees and Chancellor Portner. The Saddleback College Academic Senate has been busy with the work of the faculty and the academic process. We're nearing a vote on updating our Senate bylaws. That's been a 1 year plus very interesting process. The Senate continues to move forward with curriculum process, streamlining the revision of that process. Senate members are serving on multiple college committees, including accreditation, DRAC, curriculum, et cetera, et cetera. Here's what I'm excited to report on. Again, the Solar Decathlon is opening on October 8th, continues to the 17th. Hope all of you get a chance to see it. Students and faculty from Irvine Valley College, Chapman, UCI, and Saddleback have been working on this for nearly 2 years now. And there is a crazy scurrying of activity to get the house ready for the competition. It's about 10 days away now. Pretty interesting to watch everybody come together in that. And that is at the Great Park, the Sand Canyon exit. I feel like I should give you TripAdvisor and tell you how to get there. It's a little tricky, but you can find it not that difficult to get into the competition site. And lastly, thank you, Trustee Jemal, for your support of the Saddleback College baccalaureate proposal to our legislative advocates. Appreciate that.
Not very successful, though.
Yeah, well, we're still hopeful on that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Faculty Association.
Yes, I have no report tonight. Thank you.
IVC, Academic Senate.
Good evening, all. As always, faculty members serve on diverse college and district committees, task forces, councils, and such. In addition, several faculty members at IVC are involved in statewide Senate committees that brings us useful contacts and information, and also includes our voice in state Senate matters of concern. Along those lines, IVC will be hosting on October 10th a statewide CTE leadership conference organized by the state Senate, the ASCCC. And we've hosted a number of committee meetings. The state Senate moves them around the state, and we've often hosted those last year and this year. Many of our administrators are also involved in state-level discussions and national discussions, our president certainly. In particular, for this evening's report, I wanted to mention that we are kept very up to date about discussions at the state level about new allocation models based not only on current full-time equivalent students, FTES, but also on an estimate of what they call, quote, need. This is estimated in part by how much unfunded FTES a district records. This constitutes a fairly major departure from the previous model, and I hope you're being kept apprised of these changes in the state legislative philosophies and approaches to funding community colleges. While currently we are not overwhelmed with more students than we can serve, we did find ourselves in that situation not very long ago and may again in the future. So I hope that the board will be willing to revisit how we interpret our allocation model along those lines. Thank you.
Okay. Next we have Vice Chancellor Human Resources.
As the board knows, we're involved quite a bit in negotiations these days. One of the items that the board passed tonight is significant. The board policy 4011.1. Dr. Schmeider was very appropriate in her loud cheer. We spent many hours together in pleasant conversation and dialogue on the development of the policy. But a significant thing was when we were talking about it recently, I think it was the month of March, Kathy brought forward the concept of actually changing the board policy from a board policy to administrative regulation. And if you go back historically, those of you on the board that were here at the time, this whole policy was in the middle of a lawsuit. And the courts stepped in and forced us to write a micromanaged policy down to the nth degree. And so Kathy made the comment that this is different times, and so maybe it's time to turn the page. And so the policy you approved tonight is a giant step forward in the aspect of we've changed the district from where we were way back when to something that we are way back now. So the world changed, and the board is part of that, so we certainly appreciate that. It also lifted an onerous burden off of human resources. The policy was inflexible and unyielding. If we made one variation from it, the presidents or the vice chancellor were brought underneath close scrutiny, sometimes by lawyers, over some ridiculous thing of, you didn't do this exactly right. So the shift not only changed that, it gave us more flexibility. So thank you very much.
Vice Chancellor Business Services.
No report. Thank you.
Irvine Valley College Classified Senate.
Hi, good evening. Classified Senate has been busy preparing for some upcoming events that we will be organizing to promote the professional development funds that are now available, or are the increase that is available, as well as some fundraising activities for the scholarships that we give out each year to students. So we have quite a few activities coming up for October. President Rockmore and Dr. Shackelford have generously agreed to sponsor classified professionals who are interested in participating in the IVC Golf Classic on October 14th. So we're looking forward to participating in that annual fundraiser. And then in addition to being the IVC Senate Classified Senate President, I also participate as the South Vice President for the statewide Classified Senate. And again, thanks to President Rockmore, I was able to attend and participate in a very productive quarterly board meeting. Thank you. Thank you.
CSCA.
Thank you, Mr. President. Scott Ferguson Green, CSCA President, Chapter 586. I wanted to especially assure Trustee Jemal that as a native Pennsylvanian and from the Philadelphia area, even though that your daughter is nearly 3,000 miles away, tennis is very well supported. It may be a football state, but think about that Billie Jean King, when she played team tennis, chose the city of Philadelphia. Andre Agassi, when he played team tennis, chose the city of Philadelphia. So with himself and his wife, Steffi Graf, they did a great job of promoting tennis throughout country clubs in the area. So I think it's a very good place for her to develop the talent and become the superstar that she probably will become. I also wanted to make sure that we are going to continue with the work that we're doing. We have a negotiation advisory committee as well as a negotiating team that will be continuing with negotiations. Our next session is Friday, October 9th, and we're looking forward to that. And also, too, we're looking forward with working with the classified senates with the professional development. Thank you.
Great. Next we have Saddleback Classified Senate.
Hi, Mike Sauter, Saddleback College, past president for the Senate. I'm here filling in for the Senate tonight, but it's good to see you all again. So I am here to promote a very special event that the Senate at Saddleback College we do every year. And I'm here early because when we get an early jump on this, we have a bigger impact. And that is our giving thanks to student veterans. I had this whole thing. So this is our annual fundraiser, annual food drive for student veterans, where the Senate collects food items and monetary gifts throughout the whole month of October for our student veterans and their families. And the idea is to provide them with a Thanksgiving basket full of all the fixings for a Thanksgiving meal. We know a lot of them are away from home, and they are in need of food and other items. And so we have collection spots across the entire campus where we will collect the items. We also this year we have a website through the foundation where we will collect money donations through the foundation accounts that is set up for us. And that is wonderful because the money goes a long way too. We also, not only are we gathering all the items, but the money that we can pull in will buy gift cards to supermarkets where they can get anything they need, from the perishable items to even baby diapers and things like that. The website for that is Saddleback College Giving/Thanksgiving. It's on our website, and we would be happy to send an email out to the board members and the district so that everyone gets a copy of that too. And we encourage everyone to share that too. Don't just keep it in the college, but share that with your friends and family across social media and the like. But we're really happy to be involved with that, and hopefully this year we can support over 50 families for Thanksgiving. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We just got it in under the wire. Don't have to make your motion. Tonight we adjourn in memoriam. Tonight, in memory of Saddleback College student Cheyenne Mazzori, who was tragically murdered in Dana Point a couple of weeks ago. A suspect has been arrested in his death. Cheyenne had been enrolled at Saddleback since fall of 2013. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family, friends, and fellow students as they cope with this senseless tragedy. Good evening.